we hit the road again and take off and travel 5,000 kilometers through Canada back to Vancouver, BC, where we're gonna be spending our winters, Ray Outfitted here is gonna do a complete overlook of my suspension, my front end, and everything else, just to make sure that when we hit the road, we're gonna have a safe journey ahead of us. I originally bought my van on August 16th, 2017, and since then, this bad boy has been on one heck of a life adventure. We've put on about 100,000 kilometers both on the pavement and in the backcountry, so needless to say, this thing does get banged around from time to time. So to have somebody like Ray Outfitted take a look at my van makes me feel good, because these guys know exactly what my van goes through, and they kind of care about my van life adventure.
So today we're going to be checking chrome steering suspension before he gets back on the road. Larger vehicles are notorious for front end problems, so we're just going to take a look over it and just make sure that everything's good. So the first thing we're going to do is check the tie rods on this side. So we're just going to give the wheel a shake here. Everything feels tight on that side, and we'll check the other side. Tie rods feel good on this side. And now we're going to check the ball joints. Lower is okay. And we've got movement in the upper on this side. Feel the notch?
Yeah.
It's very slight.
Yep, I feel it.
Yeah. So by doing one ball joint on this, you do both on the one side.
Yeah.
There's no point taking, because you got to drop the whole spindle off. So now that we've been underneath the van, we see that the upper and lower both have movement in them. They are just within spec, but with how many kilometers Chrome's going to be putting on this van and the amount he beats this in the back country, we're just going to put both in.
When it comes to repairs like this one, especially for somebody like me that plans on being out in the backcountry a lot after we leave Ontario, you're better to take care of these things now before they become a problem and I'm deep in the backcountry with nobody out there to help me. Repairs like this just make sense. It's never a good feeling when the mechanic guy is like, now for the fun part. It's pretty gut-wrenching to see your van in this kind of a scenario. But if you really take a look at it, he's taking care of the foundation of our home to make sure it is strong and tight and going to be keeping our home rolling down the highway or down the backcountry and keeping us safe. Trust me guys, I've seen a ball joint break before in my lowrider days. It's not a good thing to have a tire just dangling there in the middle of nowhere.
So we've already got the top ball joint pressed in, and now we're going to press the lower in. Should be very stiff to move by hand.
Holy wow, look at that one. Oh, that makes me feel better.
So we've got our two new ball joints in, and now to put the spindle back in.
You know, living in a van, you are kind of a homeowner. It's a crazy, weird thing to think about, but you are technically a homeowner, and doing repairs like this are definitely way cheaper than having to put a roof on your new house. So you feel good about little situations like this. I'm glad I'm a homeowner, and I'm super proud to live in this damn van on the side of a street. It's okay, van. It'll all be over soon. Did you give it any numbing cream or anything so it doesn't hurt my van?
I mean, I did spray some penetrating fluid on it.
Well, that'll help, thank you. See, he's taking care of you.
Oops. Not bad.
So it's not supposed to be moving like, look at this thing. It's just dangling there. One thing I've learned over all these years living in my van is this is not just your regular vehicle. It's not like the vehicle you use to go back and forth to work with every day, because for the most part, most people I know don't take great care of those vehicles. I know I never did in my past. But this, I have a different feeling, a different attachment to it. This is my home. So when anything at all has a squeak or a rattle or something just doesn't feel right, the first thing I do is get it taken care of. Because when you're traveling around, especially when you're putting in the amount of kilometers and travel, my van is not only my home, it's my business. It's how we get around to make the videos that you guys watch every day. So by coming here and having Ray Outfitted take a look at my front suspension and tell me that one of my ball joints are loose and the other one's a little bit loose, it's a no-brainer to me to say yes to replacing all 4 ball joints, not just the ones that are loose. Because if you just kind of replace the ones that are loose, sooner or later the ones above it, chances are probably on their way out. So to me, it just makes sense to just change them all at once.
In the last 3 years, I've only had that nasty feeling in my stomach once. We were driving down the road and the van started to putter and I was like, oh no. And let me tell you, that is not a good feeling to have. We get to the nearest town, go to the mechanic, he checks it all out. It turns out that we just had a spark plug problem. So we changed all the spark plugs, fixed up the issue, and we were back on the road traveling and adventuring and having fun, and it only cost us a few $100. In the last few years, we've had it pretty good.
I find it pretty rad that you can come to a van outfitting company and my home gets a complete royal treatment from top to bottom. There's nothing worse than spending the time here getting all the little upgrades you want done than having to go out from here and maybe get a wheel alignment or get some brakes done somewhere else and just have this huge big runaround. I love it that I came here and these guys made sure that I am driving safe when I leave and I'm happy on my travels. That way, like Madison said to me, that way when I leave here, they don't got to worry about me. They just know that I'm going to get where I want to go, good, safe, and in top-notch mechanical condition. So I'm pretty stoked that I'm getting brand new ball joints, top, bottom, on both sides. Things like that just make me feel good. Now that we've made some weight changes in the back of my van by adding the pull-out drawer and the rack system and the new bed and just moving things around, getting a wheel alignment is just a good idea. Plus for me, I'm always in the backcountry, so my van sees a lot of bumpy roads and just takes a little bit more abuse than one that would just be on the pavement all the time. But getting a regular wheel alignment is always a good idea. One, it's gonna save your tires in a massive way because my front tires right now are slightly a bit off from being completely straight. And right after we got the van lifted, I had the wheel alignment and the front tires looked great. But now that we've been doing some backcountry, like we went up the Alaska Highway, beat it up a little bit on the back roads, the front tires aren't exactly straight anymore. And here we are. Rainer's about to do a wheel alignment on the front of the vehicle, and maybe he can explain to us what is happening, because I've never witnessed a wheel alignment being done. So this is a first for me as well. What's going on, boss?
We're just at a rolling compensation on the front, or for all 4 tires. Now we're going to measure front caster and go from there.
So those little things up there, those little lights, those just like a little laser beam or what?
Yep.
And they hit the pads on the tires?
Yep.
All this stuff still confuses me. Watching him talk about numbers and 0.9 and a bunch of, I still don't get what this thing does, but it is pretty damn cool that a laser bounces back and forth to all the tires while he fiddles around with little things trying to get, I heard the words camber and toe, and I don't get it either. Everything feels really nice and tight. There's no unnecessary feeling in the steering wheel.
Oh man, this whole front end feels super tight. So good. Someone's a little excited to be back in the van. Hey, bud? Hey, you excited? This thing feels better today than it did 3 years ago when I bought this thing. My van is a 2004, so it's had quite a life before I even had it. This van originally was a delivery truck for a furniture store. You can still see the stickers kind of underneath the side, you know, when they pull a sticker off, but yet you can still kind of read it. And I mean, they must have taken good care of it because this thing has been very, very good to me. And I feel really good about replacing all the ball joints, upper lowers on both sides. Plus he also replaced this arm with a ball joint on the end of it. It's like a tie rod end or something. It was a really long one. I can't remember which side it was on, but yeah, he replaced that one too. And which makes this thing super tight. It feels so good. But let's talk mechanical for a second, because I know not everybody out there is in the financial position when they start to even wrap their head around a repair, like replacing your ball joints like I just did, or something catastrophic like a, oh please no, like a transmission failure or something. But you need to know that when you're moving into a van, it's like becoming a homeowner. See, if you're renting, like I've been renting my whole life, anytime the place I rented needed a new roof or needed a new appliance, that wasn't my responsibility. But when you buy a van, you've now become a homeowner, which means it comes with all of the maintenance expenses that could possibly happen. Even though buying your home is going to be a substantial amount cheaper, you are faced with all of those things, and guys, they just happen. So, you know, you just got to fingers crossed and trust that feeling in your stomach that the vehicle you're buying feels right, and maybe a mechanic might inspect it and approve it. But you got to know that these things are going to happen. One things you don't want to have happen is internal engine and transmission problems, because those are internal issues. You know, be prepared for things external. Like I'm hoping that my van just keeps rocking forward with no internal problems. But you got to expect the outside wear and tear stuff. So like ball joints and brakes and, you know, little suspension parts, things like that. And, you know, water pump, fuel pump, radiator, things that are on the exterior of the engine. You got to know that those things are going to go through regular wear and tear. So, you know, don't stress out about starting van life without enough money for repairs, because I didn't. You know, you get in the van, you stop paying rent, you save a little bit of money, and you use that money you save from paying rent to hopefully build up enough to cover your mechanical. So the way I looked at things, and I still look at it now, as long as I have enough money in my bank to pay for a new transmission, because that seems to be the one common one in most regular cargo vans like my Ford Econoline, that seems to be the big one that goes, is the transmission. So you got to looking at, here in Canada, you're looking at about $2,000 to $3,000 for a new transmission, depending on where you go. And but to me, that's where my savings point is when it comes to thinking mechanical. Well, can I get my transmission repaired? So use that as your prime focus to put that much money away to at least cover the transmission repair, you know. But these repairs here on your van feel way better than they do in your regular commuter vehicle, because I've always been a car guy. I've always had a big attachment to cars, my lowriders, not my daily drivers. So I think because of my bond and attachment to this van, because this van has taken me everywhere you guys have seen on my channel, this van changed my life. If it wasn't for me moving into this baby right here and putting my life out there, we wouldn't be where we are today with you guys or this. I love my van. So anytime it needs attention, it gets it without even a hiccup of a doubt. So, yeah, guys, let's fingers crossed that we're gonna rock another year with without any more big mechanical problems. But I do feel really, really great about tackling these problems before they become a problem. Like if you notice like a ball joint's loose or something like that, and the mechanic might be like, hey, you could probably get away another 6 months with this. Don't get away the other 6 months with this. Just get her fixed while you can, while it's there.
and you're already in deep enough to do one, it's not a big deal for them to do the second one on that one side while you're there. Or if they have the other side taken apart, if it's already apart, then just get her done. We are finished all of our projects at Ray Outfitted, completely done. I'm probably gonna hang out there for a few more days and just be social because it's been a lot of work. And yeah, guys, I'm super stoked to get back on the road pretty soon. So I'm guessing probably within a week, we'll be back on the trail heading back towards Vancouver and just, guys, I so miss being on the road. We've been sitting still since August 15th between Ray Outfitted and Happy Camper Kits. Since August 15th. I've never sat still that long. Okay, guys, I've talked enough. See you tomorrow.